What is negotiation?
Negotiation is a process of communication between two or more parties aimed at reaching an agreement on matters of mutual interest where there are differing preferences or goals. It involves discussion, compromise, and strategic decision-making.
What is BATNA?
BATNA stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. It is the most favorable course of action you can take if negotiations fail. A strong BATNA gives you leverage because you can walk away from a bad deal.
Why is knowing your BATNA important?
Knowing your BATNA sets your walkaway point and prevents you from accepting deals worse than your alternative. It gives you confidence, reduces desperation, and provides a benchmark for evaluating any proposed agreement.
How do you strengthen your BATNA?
Strengthen your BATNA by developing multiple alternatives before negotiating, researching other options, improving your position independently, and making your alternatives concrete and actionable. The more viable alternatives you have, the stronger your negotiating position.
What is ZOPA?
ZOPA stands for Zone of Possible Agreement. It is the range between each party's walkaway point, reservation price, where an agreement can satisfy both sides. If ZOPAs don't overlap, no deal is possible without changing terms.
How do you identify the ZOPA?
To identify the ZOPA, determine your own reservation price, estimate the other party's reservation price through research and questioning, then find the overlap. If your maximum price exceeds their minimum, or vice versa, a ZOPA exists.
What is a reservation price?
A reservation price, walkaway point, is the least favorable point at which you will accept a deal. For a buyer, it is the maximum they will pay. For a seller, it is the minimum they will accept. Crossing this point means no deal is better.
What is anchoring in negotiation?
Anchoring is the cognitive bias where the first number or offer made strongly influences subsequent negotiations. The initial offer serves as an anchor point, and adjustments from it tend to be insufficient. Making the first offer can be strategically advantageous.
Should you make the first offer in a negotiation?
Generally, yes, if you are well informed about the market value. Making the first offer allows you to set the anchor and frame the negotiation range. However, if you lack information, letting the other side go first can reveal their position.
How do you counter an aggressive anchor?
Counter an aggressive anchor by immediately re-anchoring with your own number, presenting objective data/benchmarks, ignoring the anchor and making an independent assessment, or explicitly calling out the anchor as unreasonable and reframing the discussion.
What is the difference between distributive and integrative negotiation?
Distributive, win-lose, a fixed pie where one party's gain is the other's loss, e.g., haggling over price. Integrative, win-win, expanding the pie by finding mutual gains through creative solutions and trading on different priorities.
What is a win-win negotiation strategy?
Win-win negotiation seeks solutions that benefit all parties by identifying different priorities and trading concessions. Key principles: focus on interests, not positions, generate multiple options, use objective criteria, and build relationships for future dealings.
What is principled negotiation?
Principled negotiation, from Getting to Yes by Fisher and Urey, has 4 pillars. 1. Separate people from the problem. 2. Focus on interests not positions. 3. Generate options for mutual gain. 4. Insist on objective criteria.
What is the difference between positions and interests?
Positions are what people say they want, e.g., I want $80,000 salary. Interests are the underlying needs/desires behind positions, e.g., financial security, recognition, work-life balance. Focusing on interests enables creative solutions.
How do you uncover the other party's interests?
Uncover interests by asking why and why not questions, active listening, exploring what matters most to them, observing what they resist or concede easily, asking hypothetical questions, what if we, and building rapport to encourage openness.
What is active listening in negotiation?
Active listening involves fully concentrating on the speaker, paraphrasing what they said, asking clarifying questions, and acknowledging emotions. It builds trust, gathers information, and makes the other party feel heard, which increases willingness to cooperate.
What are the key components of active listening?
Key components: paraphrasing, so what you're saying is, reflecting feelings, it sounds like you're frustrated about, asking open-ended questions, summarizing key points, maintaining eye contact, and avoiding interrupting.
What is mirroring in negotiation?
Mirroring involves repeating the last few words or key phrase the other person said, often as a question. It encourages them to elaborate, reveals more information, and builds rapport. Example: we can't go below $50,000. Can't go below $50,000?
What is labeling emotions in negotiation?
Labeling involves identifying and verbalizing the other party's emotions. It seems like, it sounds like, it looks like. This validates their feelings, reduces tension, and builds trust. It is a key technique from FBI negotiation methodology.
What is the role of body language in negotiation?
Body language communicates confidence, openness, or defensiveness. Key signals: open posture, arms uncrossed, leaning forward, engagement, steady eye contact, confidence, nodding, agreement, and mirroring the other's posture, rapport. Up to 55% of communication is nonverbal.
What body language signals suggest someone is lying or uncomfortable?
Potential signals: not definitive, avoiding eye contact, touching face/nose, fidgeting, closed posture, inconsistent gestures, micro-expressions, speech hesitations, and changes from baseline behavior. No single cue is reliable. Look for clusters of changes.
What is the power of silence in negotiation?
Silence is a powerful tool because most people are uncomfortable with it and will fill the void by making concessions or revealing information. After making an offer or asking a question, resist the urge to speak. Let the silence work for you.
What is the flinch technique?
The flinch is a visible, exaggerated reaction, surprise, shock, to the other party's offer or demand. It signals that their position is unreasonable and often causes them to moderate their stance. Example: visibly wincing when hearing a price.
What is the nibble technique?
The nibble involves asking for small additional concessions after the main deal is essentially agreed upon. Example: can you throw in free delivery? It works because people don't want to risk the whole deal over a minor point. Counter by asking for something in return.
What is bracketing?
Bracketing is making your opening offer as far from your target as the other side's offer is on the opposite side. If you want $50,000 and they offer $40,000, you counter at $60,000. The idea is that the final agreement often lands near the midpoint.
What is logrolling?
Logrolling is an integrative strategy of trading concessions on issues of different importance to each party. You concede on issues less important to you in exchange for gains on issues more important to you. It expands the pie beyond a single-issue negotiation.
What is the good cop/bad cop tactic?
Good cop/bad cop uses two negotiators. One takes a hard, aggressive stance while the other is friendly and reasonable. The good cop offers a seemingly generous deal compared to the bad cop's demands. Counter by recognizing the tactic and negotiating only with the decision-maker.
What is the deadline tactic?
The deadline tactic creates artificial time pressure to force a quick decision. Phrases like "this offer expires Friday" or "we need an answer today." Counter by questioning the deadline's validity, requesting more time, or being willing to walk away.
What is the take it or leave it tactic?
This is an ultimatum that presents the offer as final and non-negotiable. It is a pressure tactic that can shut down discussion. Counter by testing it, explore other variables, present alternatives, or calmly state that you need to consider other options.
What is the limited authority tactic?
The negotiator claims they don't have authority to make the deal and must check with someone else. This creates delay and a second negotiation. Counter by asking to negotiate directly with the decision maker or getting tentative agreements in writing.
What is the split the difference tactic?
Split the difference proposes meeting exactly in the middle between two positions. While seemingly fair, it can be manipulative if one side started with an extreme position. Counter by evaluating whether the midpoint is actually fair based on objective criteria.
What is the door-in-the-face technique?
This involves starting with an extremely large request, expected to be rejected, then following with a smaller, more reasonable request. The second request seems more reasonable by comparison, based on the reciprocity principle and contrast effect.
What is the foot-in-the-door technique?
This involves starting with a small, easy-to-agree request, then escalating to larger requests. Once someone has agreed to something small, they are more likely to agree to something bigger due to consistency bias.
What is the concept of framing in negotiation?
Framing is how information is presented to influence perception. The same offer can be framed as a gain or a loss. Example, 10% discount versus you'd pay 10% more elsewhere. People are more risk-averse with gains and risk-seeking to avoid losses. Prospect theory.
What is loss aversion and how does it apply to negotiation?
Loss aversion means people feel losses roughly twice as strongly as equivalent gains. In negotiation, frame proposals in terms of what the other party would lose by not agreeing rather than what they would gain. This leverages the psychological pain of loss.
What is the reciprocity principle in negotiation?
Reciprocity is the tendency to return a favor or concession. When you make a concession, the other party feels obligated to reciprocate. Strategic concessions should be visible, labeled, and given gradually to maximize their impact.
How should you make concessions?
Make concessions gradually and decreasingly, each smaller than the last, to signal you are approaching your limit. Always get something in return. Label your concessions to ensure they are recognized. Never concede without reciprocity.
What is the concept of leverage in negotiation?
Leverage is the relative power each party has to influence the outcome. Sources of leverage: strong BATNA, unique value you provide, time pressure on the other side, information asymmetry, and the other party's needs and alternatives.
What is information asymmetry in negotiation?
Information asymmetry occurs when one party has more or better information than the other. The party with more information has a significant advantage. Always research thoroughly before negotiating and be strategic about what information you reveal.
What is the importance of preparation in negotiation?
Preparation is the most important factor in negotiation success. Key preparation steps: define your goals, determine your BATNA, research the other party's interests/BATNA, identify the ZOPA, prepare questions, plan your opening, and anticipate counterarguments.
What is a negotiation agenda?
A negotiation agenda is a structured list of topics to be discussed. Setting the agenda gives you control over the order and framing of issues. Discuss easier issues first to build momentum and rapport, or address the hardest issues first to avoid last-minute deadlocks.
What is the role of rapport in negotiation?
Rapport builds trust, reduces hostility, and increases the likelihood of cooperative behavior. Establish rapport through small talk, finding common ground, active listening, and genuine interest in the other person. Negotiations with rapport produce better outcomes for both parties.
What is the difference between competitive and cooperative negotiation styles?
Competitive, adversarial, focus on maximizing own outcome, using pressure tactics, withholding information. Cooperative, collaborative, focus on mutual gains, sharing information, building relationships. Research shows cooperative styles generally produce better long-term outcomes.
What are the 5 negotiation styles, Thomas Gilman model?
1. Competing, high assertiveness, low cooperativeness. 2. Collaborating, high both. 3. Compromising, moderate both. 4. Avoiding, low both. 5. Accommodating, low assertiveness, high cooperativeness. The best style depends on the situation.
When should you use a competing negotiation style?
Use competing when the stakes are high, the issue is critical, you have a strong BATNA, the relationship is not important, or in one-time transactions. It is appropriate for distributive negotiations and when quick, decisive action is needed.
When should you use a collaborative negotiation style?
Use collaboration when the relationship is important, both parties have multiple interests, creative solutions are possible, and there is time for discussion. It is ideal for integrative negotiations, long-term partnerships, and complex multi-issue deals.
What is ethical negotiation?
Ethical negotiation involves honesty, fairness, and respect for the other party. It means not using deceptive tactics, lying about alternatives, fake deadlines, honoring commitments, disclosing material information when required, and treating the other party with dignity.
What is the difference between hard bargaining and unethical tactics?
Hard bargaining, aggressive anchoring, high aspirations, patience, is ethical and legitimate. Unethical tactics, lying about facts, making false threats, misrepresenting your BATNA, bait and switch, are deceptive and damage trust and reputation.
What is the role of trust in negotiation?
Trust enables information sharing, reduces transaction costs, and leads to better outcomes. It is built through consistency, honesty, reliability, and following through on commitments. Breaking trust is easy, rebuilding it is extremely difficult.
How do you handle a negotiator who lies?
When you suspect deception, ask questions to verify claims, request documentation, use contingency contracts. If X is true, then address it directly but diplomatically, and be prepared to walk away. Don't accuse without evidence, focus on verifiable facts.
What is a contingency contract?
A contingency contract is an agreement where terms depend on future events. Example, if the product sells 10,000 units, you receive a bonus. It resolves disputes about uncertain outcomes by letting the future determine who was right.
What are the key elements of salary negotiation?
Key elements: research market rates, Glassdoor, pay scale, know your value, let the employer name a number first, or anchor high, negotiate total compensation, not just base, consider benefits, timing, after an offer is made, and practice your pitch.
When should you negotiate salary?
The best time is after you receive a job offer but before you accept it. This is when you have maximum leverage. During interviews, deflect salary questions. I'd like to learn more about the role first. Also negotiate during performance reviews or after major achievements.
What should you say when asked for your salary expectations?
Strategies: I'm flexible and would like to understand the full scope of the role first, or based on my research and experience, I'm looking at the range of $X, $Y. If pressed, give a range where your target is the bottom number. Never name a number below your target.
How do you negotiate salary beyond base pay?
Negotiate total compensation including signing bonus, annual bonus, stock options/equity, vacation days, remote work flexibility, professional development budget, title, start date, relocation assistance, performance review timeline, and severance terms.
What is the concept of anchoring in salary negotiation?
If you anchor first, start higher than your target but within a justifiable range. Research shows first offers significantly influence final outcomes. Support your anchor with data, market rates, your achievements, and value you bring. Always anchor with a specific number, not a round one.
How do you handle a lowball salary offer?
Respond by expressing enthusiasm for the role, presenting market data supporting a higher range, highlighting your unique qualifications and value, and asking how did you arrive at this number. This opens dialogue without being confrontational. Never accept the first offer.
What is the exploding offer tactic in job negotiations?
An exploding offer has a very short deadline to pressure quick acceptance. Counter by explaining you need reasonable time to make an important decision, asking for an extension, most employers will grant a few days, and being prepared to walk away if pressured unfairly.
What is the role of power in negotiation?
Power in negotiation comes from BATNA strength, information, expertise, legitimacy, relationships, time, and the ability to reward or punish. Power is perceptual, it depends on what the other party believes you have, not just what you actually have.
What is the concept of aspiration point?
Your aspiration point is your ideal, best case outcome, what you would love to achieve. Research shows that negotiators with higher aspiration points achieve better outcomes. Set ambitious but realistic aspirations and work backward from there.
What is the Ackerman bargaining model?
The Ackerman model uses decreasing increments. Start at 65% of your target, then offer 85%, 95%, and finally your exact target, non-round number. Each increment signals resistance. The final odd number feels calculated and like your true limit.
What are the three types of negotiators, Chris Voss?
According to Never Split the Difference, 1. Analysts, methodical, data-driven, hate surprises. 2. Accommodators, relationship-focused, want to be liked. 3. Assertives, direct, time-conscious, want to be heard. Identify the type and adapt your approach.
What is tactical empathy?
Tactical empathy is understanding the feelings and mindset of the other party and using that understanding to influence the negotiation. It does not mean agreeing with them, it means demonstrating that you understand their perspective. It disarms hostility and builds trust.
What is a calibrated question?
Calibrated questions are open-ended how and what questions designed to make the other party solve your problem. Examples: how am I supposed to do that? What about this works for you? They give an illusion of control while gathering information.
What is the 7-38-55 rule of communication?
Albert Mehrabian's research suggests that in communicating feelings, 7% is the words, 38% is tone of voice, and 55% is body language. While often oversimplified, it highlights that how you say something matters more than what you say in emotional contexts.
How do you negotiate in cross-cultural contexts?
Key considerations: understand direct versus indirect communication styles, attitudes toward hierarchy, importance of relationship building, views on time, face-saving norms, and whether agreements are final or starting points. Research the specific culture thoroughly before negotiating.
How do negotiation styles differ between high-context and low-context cultures?
High-context cultures, Japan, China, Arab countries rely on implicit communication, relationships, and reading between the lines. Low-context cultures, US, Germany, Scandinavia prefer explicit, direct communication and written contracts.
What is the role of face-saving in Asian negotiations?
In many Asian cultures, face, social standing, dignity, is paramount. Public criticism, aggressive tactics, or forcing concessions can cause loss of face and derail negotiations. Use indirect language, allow graceful concessions, and never embarrass the other party publicly.
How do you negotiate with someone more powerful?
Strategies: strengthen your BATNA, build coalitions, use objective criteria to level the playing field, focus on their interests and what you uniquely offer, be well prepared with data, and frame proposals in terms of their benefits.
What is multi-party negotiation?
Multi-party negotiation involves 3 or more parties with different interests. Challenges: coalition formation, complex information sharing, coordination difficulties, and increased potential for impasse. Use structured processes, facilitators, and identify shared interests.
What is coalition building in negotiation?
Coalition building involves forming alliances with other parties to increase bargaining power. Identify parties with aligned interests, agree on shared goals, and present a united front. Be aware that coalitions can shift and that members may have competing secondary interests.
What is mediation?
Mediation is a process where a neutral third party helps disputants reach a voluntary agreement. The mediator facilitates communication, identifies interests, and suggests solutions but has no power to impose a decision. It is less formal and cheaper than arbitration.
What is arbitration?
Arbitration is a dispute resolution process where a neutral third party, arbitrator, hears both sides and makes a binding decision. It is more formal than mediation but less costly than litigation. Common in labor disputes, commercial contracts, and international trade.
What is the difference between mediation and arbitration?
Mediation, neutral party facilitates, parties decide the outcome, non-binding. Arbitration, neutral party decides, decision is binding, more formal. Mediation preserves relationships better, arbitration provides certainty of resolution.
What is WATNA?
WATNA stands for Worst Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. It represents your worst-case scenario if negotiations fail. Understanding your WATNA helps you assess risk and motivates you to negotiate rather than walk away into a bad alternative.
What is negotiation jujitsu?
Negotiation jujitsu, from getting to yes, is a technique for dealing with hard bargainers without escalating conflict. Instead of pushing back, redirect their energy, ask questions, reframe attacks as problems to solve, and use silence to deflect pressure tactics.
What is the one-text procedure?
The one-text procedure involves a mediator drafting a single document that is revised iteratively based on both parties' feedback until both can agree. It avoids positional bargaining and focuses criticism on improving the document rather than attacking the other party.
How do you deal with emotional negotiators?
Strategies: acknowledge their emotions. I can see this is important to you. Take a break if emotions escalate. Separate the person from the problem. Use active listening. Avoid responding emotionally yourself, and focus on interests, not positions.
What is the concept of expanding the pie?
Expanding the pie means creating additional value in a negotiation beyond what initially appears available. This is done by identifying different priorities, adding issues to the negotiation, logrolling, and finding creative solutions that benefit both parties.
What is a post-settlement settlement?
After reaching an agreement, parties continue to explore whether an even better deal exists for both sides. Since a deal is already secured, both parties can share information more freely. If a better option is found, it replaces the original. If not, the original stands.
What are the stages of a negotiation?
5 stages. 1. Preparation, research, goals, BATNA. 2. Opening, agenda, rapport, first offers. 3. Exploration, information exchange, interests. 4. Bargaining, offers, concessions. 5. Closing, agreement, documentation, implementation.
How do you close a negotiation effectively?
Closing techniques. Summarize agreed points, use a trial close. If we can agree on X, do we have a deal? Set a clear timeline for next steps, document everything in writing, and confirm both parties' understanding of all terms before finalizing.
What is the danger of winner's curse?
Winner's curse occurs when your offer is accepted too quickly, making you suspect you overpaid, or the other side underbid. It leads to dissatisfaction even after a deal. Prevent it by starting with aggressive but justifiable offers and negotiating gradually.
What is reactive devaluation?
Reactive devaluation is the tendency to devalue a proposal simply because it came from the other side. If the opponent proposes it, people assume it must benefit them more. Counter by having a neutral third party present proposals or jointly developing options.
What is the endowment effect in negotiation?
The endowment effect is the tendency to value something more highly simply because you own it. In negotiation, sellers typically overvalue what they're selling. Awareness of this bias helps both sides make more rational assessments.
What is the role of patience in negotiation?
Patience is a strategic advantage. The party under more time pressure typically makes more concessions. Avoid revealing your deadlines, don't rush the process, and understand that most concessions happen in the final stages of negotiation.
What is a hardball tactic?
Hardball tactics are aggressive negotiation techniques designed to pressure the other side, extreme demands, take it or leave it, good cop/bad cop, personal insults, bluffing. Counter by naming the tactic, staying calm, and focusing on interests and objective criteria.
How do you negotiate via email?
Email negotiation tips: be concise and clear, avoid emotional language, reread before sending, use bullet points for proposals, document everything, emails serve as records, be aware that tone is easily misinterpreted, and consider a phone call for sensitive topics.
What is the agree in principle technique?
This involves gaining agreement on general principles before discussing specifics. Example: can we agree that both parties should benefit equally? Once principles are established, specific terms can be measured against them, creating a framework for fair discussion.
What is the bogey tactic?
The bogey tactic involves pretending an issue is very important to you, when it actually isn't, then reluctantly conceding it in exchange for something you actually want. It creates the appearance of a significant concession without real cost.
What is the concept of negative leverage?
Negative leverage is the ability to make the other party suffer through threats or consequences. While it can be effective short-term, it damages relationships and often backfires. Positive leverage, providing benefits, and normative leverage, using standards, are generally more effective.
How do you prepare for a business deal negotiation?
Key preparation: understand both companies' financials, identify deal breakers for each side, research comparable deals, prepare a term sheet draft, determine your BATNA, identify multiple variables for log rolling, and assemble a negotiation team with complementary skills.
What are common terms negotiated in business deals?
Common terms: price/valuation, payment terms, non-compete clauses, intellectual property rights, warranties and representations, indemnification, governance/control, earn-out provisions, closing conditions, termination clauses, and dispute resolution mechanisms.
What is an earn-out in deal negotiation?
An earn-out is a contractual provision where additional payments are made to the seller based on the business achieving certain future performance milestones. It bridges the gap between the buyer's and seller's valuations and aligns incentives post-acquisition.
What is the role of a BATNA in salary negotiation?
In salary negotiation, your BATNA is typically your current job, another offer, or self-employment. A competing job offer is the strongest BATNA. Even without one, research market rates and be clear about your walk-away point to negotiate from strength.
What is conflict resolution?
Conflict resolution is the process of finding a peaceful solution to a disagreement. Methods include negotiation, mediation, arbitration, and litigation. Effective resolution addresses underlying interests, maintains relationships, and creates durable agreements.
What are the 5 conflict resolution strategies, Thomas Gilman?
1. Competing, win-lose. 2. Collaborating, win-win. 3. Compromising, split the difference. 4. Avoiding, withdraw. 5. Accommodating, give in. The appropriate strategy depends on the importance of the issue and the relationship.
What is interest-based conflict resolution?
Interest-based resolution focuses on identifying the underlying needs and concerns of all parties rather than their stated positions. By understanding why people want what they want, solutions can often be found that address everyone's core interests.
How do you de-escalate a heated negotiation?
De-escalation strategies: take a break, acknowledge emotions, lower your voice, use we language, reframe the problem as shared, ask open-ended questions, find small points of agreement, and separate the problem from the person.
What is the role of empathy in conflict resolution?
Empathy allows you to understand others' perspectives, reduces defensiveness, and opens communication. Demonstrating empathy, I understand how frustrating this must be, validates feelings without conceding points and creates an atmosphere for productive dialogue.